GangsterBet is Icon's next generation NFT collectibles of 5,555 gangsters and detectives, with changeable names and stats. Holders of GangsterBet NFTs receive daily distributions of GBet tokens. GBet can be used to upgrade their NFT skills and stats. The supply of GBet will decrease over time and will stop after 9 years. Holding GangsterBet NFTs will have opportunities for future airdrops and will give you access to GangsterBet's highly anticipated metaverse. Learn more at gangsterbet.io.
Shout out to our sponsors at IconBet. Open source, decentralized gaming, no deposits, play straight from your wallet. IconBet, made by the players, for the players.
Eye on Icon is proudly supported by Icon Nation and the Icon community. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Eye on Icon, the episode where we go around the ecosystem and get you all the latest news. And with me, as always, but not today. Instead, we have Brian. Brian, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, I'm iconographer.
Oh, you're pulling it off, man. Keep going. Iconographer.
Sorry, that's not what he sounds like, but yeah, it's okay.
How you been, man? It's been a while since you've been on the show.
Yeah, I'm good. I haven't done a podcast in so long. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, look, thanks for joining me. Iconographer could not make it today, but should be back next week. But let's dive in. So usually, Brian, if you do listen to the show, you know, first things we like to tackle is markets. And we did this yesterday, God, we'd be, you know, on a real high. We should still be on a high, but look, major news dropped yesterday. People have been wondering, why did ICX moon? What are your thoughts, Brian? Why did ICX moon?
Well, as I joked about on Twitter, I thought ICX yooned. For those who missed it, there was a presidential election in South Korea, and it's funny because the previous president, I think his name was President Moon.
Yes.
Yeah, and then now we have President Yoon. So I was joking around like, no, we don't want to go to the moon.
Yes.
Yoon is more preferable, and that's mainly because for crypto people, his stance on crypto has been more favorable, I guess, compared to the previous administration. So, you know, whether it's talk about, you know, redoing the regulation around initial coin offerings and other aspects of the crypto industry, it's expected that with the new president, it's going to be a lot more open than with the previous one. And I don't know what exactly caused this spike yesterday. We went all the way up to like $1.09, something like that.
Yep. What is it? $1.09, yes.
Yeah, from 60 cents. So that's like a 70 or 80% pump right there. So that was interesting. See that volume? Look at that.
Yeah, I know. But like we always get here. At least this was very well sustained here. Yeah, insane. What
Look at that one.
I know, in context. Oh my god! But what was it? What was a few other things we heard? Theme coin. So it started getting referenced in the media, right? And that's South Korean. What does it mean? It meant
yeah. Well, this kind of stuff is always tricky because, with things like social media, it's very fast for these kinds of things to move around. So just some background. I'm not from South Korea, but based on my understanding, there's these things called theme stocks and theme coins, which is basically a coin or a stock that is associated with someone prominent in the country. So in this case, ICX, I guess, according to one of these blog posts in South Korea, people were calling it the theme coin of President Yoon. And, you know, I think that happened because of a few things. A few months ago, he was at Icon Loop's office and minted an NFT on craft of his signature. So there was like kind of an association with the Icon blockchain, I think. But again, like I think these things are tricky because on one side it's kind of funny that people are saying, "Oh, like Yoon is great for Icon," but I'm always wary to like don't overdo it, you know,
Totally.
because if he sees this too much, he might come out and be like, "Oh, I'm actually," like he might come out and explicitly say, you know, I don't have anything to do with Icon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's very much speculation. Yes, he was in the office. Yes, he did sign it. It was very much a well, they're campaigning, right? And he is pro crypto, and Icon Loop has a huge presence and is known in the corporate world for, I guess, blockchain tech. That's what they do. So it makes sense, and it's great. I agree with you, Brian. Look, it's great to catch the wave. Let's not get too carried away that, look, a crypto friendly environment, and that's what, that's why everyone's excited, because he is crypto friendly, and a lot of the what is it, the not the bans but the rules imposed on blockchain and ICOs and crypto in general in South Korea. For example, did you know, just recently, one of the last things he did was he cannot move your crypto off an exchange to a MetaMask wallet. You have to use a KYC wallet to move your crypto off, which is basically moving it from one exchange to another exchange in a way. So there are all these sanctions that exist. So hopefully this news has created a positive environment, especially ICX still having the Korean coin narrative moving along. So it's boded well for it. But yeah, look, nothing's changed though. Everyone's still building everywhere. I think even Min called that out. As soon as all that happened, everyone was happy. But you saw Min saying, "Don't forget, most of validators, builders, and things exist all around the world, not just South Korea." But any news is good news. In this case, it's definitely good news. Look at us. Although, bit of a reversal.
Let's see what happens.
Cool. Okay, so quickly across the markets as well, looking through, this is kind of hilarious, and that's where Icongrapher got in on the commentary. As soon as obviously we saw ICX Moon, a little while later, this is ICX mooning, and then BTC does what it does every time. Now, Brian, did you short at this moment? Did you remember to short BTC when you saw ICX Moon?
Actually, I've been in a Bitcoin short since like 50,000.
Oh, damn you. Okay, nice.
No, but that does happen every single time.
Yeah.
You know, when ICX goes on a pump, it's just like clockwork. BTC will dump like 12 hours later.
Yeah. And it happened again. This time I forgot. So I remember not to get sucked up in the hype, enjoy the moment. And what I mean by that is like I kind of want to, yeah, the price is great, but I kind of want to keep the building and announcements and things like that. Progress is happening regardless of price. So that's what I mean. Like I didn't want to get sucked into it. But I forgot at the same time that usually it follows by BTC collapsing. Damn it. What a missed opportunity. Next time though. Overall though, look, markets are all at the moment reversing, correcting, whatever you want to call it. Let's see what happens. What are your overall thoughts, Brian? Have you got a bit of a consolidation outlook, or it's heading further down?
I don't know. Anything's on the table. I feel like it sort of depends. I don't know if you can really realistically do TA right now, because at any moment, you know, there might be an escalation with the war or something like that. So
yeah. It is very hard. The world climate is such, you can't depend on anything to make a call. No, wise words there, Brian. Okay, cool. I think markets are good. Let's move on. We already touched on this. So the candidate. So we have a new president. I always get the prime minister president mixed up. But yeah, look, we covered this. Brian, was there anything else you wanted to add around this bit of news?
Is there? I don't think so. I think so. I think it's just, I guess it's good for crypto.
Yeah. No, very good. Okay, excellent. Here you go. Here's the pictures of them in the office. Okay, moving along. Python score is going to be depreciated, removed at the end of December 2022. So what that means is we know since Icon 2.0, there's been a push to move away from Python and move to Java scores, and there's reasons around this. Maybe, Brian, you can offer a bit more context here. Usually me and Icongrapher, we get to dev stuff and kind of read the article word by word. But keen to understand, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about moving away from Python to Java and overall impacts to builders? Do you think it's having a little bit of an impact because of the migrations and things like that?
Yeah, so this has been in the works for quite a bit of time now, and it's always been in the cards, to switch away from Python. And in general, I think it's a really good thing for many of the reasons that we've discussed before, from performance to safety and etc. The Icon blockchain is a lot more performant now since it was migrated. Like, that has part to do with the transition to Golang as well. But on the smart contract side, Java should be more performant than Python. And it does have an impact on builders, though, because a lot of people, built smart contracts in Python over the past few years, and they might not be proficient in Java, which is a very different programming language. So to do that transition will require some sort of resources and expertise. So these kinds of migrations are always tricky because there are going to be some people who know Python but don't know Java, me included, but I'm not doing smart contracts. But luckily, I think there's some support that the foundation has talked about giving. I don't know the specifics around that because I don't really do smart contract stuff.
Yeah.
But in general, I think the switch over to Java is a really good thing, and to drop support for Python is also good because it streamlines the development resources of the core blockchain as well. If they know that, we only have to support smart contracts in one language, that's less development time, that's less testing. And yeah, so I think it's pretty good in general.
So, because it also removes that audit. So, one of the things with the Python contracts were, and this is what we saw, teams have to wait for the foundation to audit and approve it. Whereas once we move to Java, this is no longer a requirement as part of the Java score, I believe.
Right, yeah. So Python had to go through an audit system where if you had to do smart contracts, the Icon team had to review it just because it's a result of how the Python code runs. So they want to make sure there aren't any prohibited functions and stuff that might cause issues with the blockchain. But Java code runs within its own virtual machine, which is what they call it. So that's a controlled environment. And so with that in place, the team won't have to look through all the smart contracts before they can be deployed.
Okay. No, good to know. I didn't realize that's why. That's good to understand. Okay, let's move along now. Brian, I don't know if you got a chance to look at this. TJ just dropped a bit of an update around CPS.
Yeah, I looked at it briefly, but do you want to quickly skim through it?
Yes. Look, and you know what? We'll do a bit more of a detailed breakdown. In fact, as I was reading it, I was like, well, we better get him on the show to talk through it. But essentially, we have money in CPS, and we know that it's been converted to BNUSD. So it's not every time that there's 200,000 sitting there. So we need to, at the moment, I've always said this, right? if there's money, if it appears the CPS has money, things will get approved a lot more. And I don't know if you've noticed, Brian, since starting, there's been a decent treasury, and every time I haven't seen a proposal get rejected since CPS came back online. Have you? I don't recall.
I don't think so.
No, and partly because the foundation's been topping up CPS until the recent update quite aggressively, so there's always been funds there. So, but what's starting to happen is, though, we're not probably auditing or looking through the quality of the proposals, right? So TJ's kind of been in the background, taking on feedback and trying to address the issue on how do we ensure that we are giving opportunity to all projects, and it's not first come first serve, and then it's also a project that brings their project to the table. P-reps can prioritize based on, I guess, for the P-reps, it should be how much value it's adding to the Icon ecosystem, etc. So they prioritize, yep, this project should get funding because it's going to do this, this, and this, and they can actually prioritize who gets the funding, and then it works that way. And that's a terrible explanation, but essentially that's what, and you can see the problems he's kind of listed, and it's prioritization. The problem is first come first serve, prioritization, funding. And then he's gone on to break down in an example how the voting process would work and how the funding process would work. And the final piece, now I'll come back to this, Brian, I want your 2 cents as well. The final part is, so we're seeing now CPS is kind of paused while they're looking to make these changes to it. So in my terrible summary of the changes, Brian, what are your thoughts?
I think this is a necessary growth step, and I think it's bullish for CPS and Icon in general. When you're starting these kinds of funds, at first, when not many people are applying, the goal when you're first starting off is to try to get the fund as much use as possible. Because if someone comes and sees this fund, there's $200,000 and no one's taking it, it kind of makes them think, oh, well, is this a scam? Certainly people should be trying to get the money if there's money. But if they see a healthy fund that's being used, that's a really good thing. So when you're starting off this kind of fund, I think that would be the goal. But many projects have since been funded, and CPS has been around for a while. So now it's getting to the point where more people know about it, more people are applying, etc. So now I think the vision or perspective of CPS should be changed from, how do we ensure all the money is used, to how do we ensure that the money is being used in the right way. So it's about adding that filter, to build upon the CPS. So now that's what they're trying to do, and to me, it's just a natural step in how to ensure funds are being used in the best way possible. And it's great because this will lead to more competition for the funds, which will hopefully lead to better proposals, a higher standard of quality, and higher expectations. And yeah, I think it's great.
Yep, agree. I think any thing that leads to higher quality proposals being put through, more detailed breakdowns, things like that, is good in my book. So it's looking good. Look, and one of the things is, it's great to see CPS improve, but as we now start to see more protocols come in, I feel there's so many cool opportunities to expand in terms of ways projects can launch on Icon, and hopefully we see a bit of that come to fruition as well, that can leverage a little bit off CPS and then utilize some other funding models to get the entire protocol online the way it's intended. But let's see how things evolve. That's outside of CPS as well, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But these are some much needed changes. Now, balanced. We've got a wave of roadmap updates now. Look, in the past, me and IconGraph used to run through line by line, but we've stopped doing that now. Everyone can kind of get there and access and look at it, but some call outs again we see in this month. A lot of the teams are focused on the smart contract migration. You saw from the earlier Python, they have actually encouraged people to move across, and we can see with Ohm and Balance, that's what the teams have been doing and looking to migrate. And you can see they've clearly listed everything, all the various contracts that are migrating.
Yeah, I think what people don't know about Balanced is the extent of the complexity of the smart contracts, because the front end is so well done that it really looks like a simple thing. But then you go on to this roadmap update, and you can see like there's 10 or 12 smart contracts there, and probably stuff that people don't even think about. So when people are because I saw a lot of complaints like, oh, when are the next features going to be launched and stuff like that. It's like, well, the team has to do this rewrite because Python score is being deprecated. And it's kind of dumb to write new features in Python when you're going to have to write it in Java before the end of the year. So they're taking the time now to translate everything into the new language, So after that, I think it's also a testament to how fast the team was working before, because there were so many new features and it was very rapid. But now, because of this translation thing, the progress has been slow. But I think that people should always keep in mind that just look at this. There's so many contracts, loans, rebalancing, decks, rewards, and all of these have to be translated and tested, and yeah. So after the migration, I think we'll start to get a stream of new features again.
Yeah. Yep, agree. It's such a good call out. And this is the team. I've always said Balance have always done an excellent job in communicating how and what's going on. So they even made it quite clear, right? Like the balance. What are they calling it? V balance. Those changes that
boosted balance.
Boosted balance.
Yeah.
Okay, I should know that. These changes they've called out. Obviously, we need to migrate everything. Then we do that in Java itself. And so I'm with you there, Brian. Even these migrations, I've found it actually happening quite quick. I know it feels like no new features are coming, but just the extent of how big this is, it feels like they're really smashing through it. Now,
the progress is faster than I expected. A lot of them say it's translated and they're testing it already. So
yeah. Then so one of the other things we saw this great blog around balance dollars, the rebalancing mechanism. So if you haven't already, make sure you read it. It's really good. You can see Scott's really gotten in there heavily. And one of the comparisons used is Luna and UST, because with it going, people are going and looking at it and then often go, oh, but why aren't we doing it that way, etc. So he's really tried to compare something people may understand and know to how the rebalancing mechanism works with BNUSD. And I know, Brian, you're very switched on around how the rebalancing mechanism operates, and you could probably explain it very well as well. I'm just cautious of time, otherwise I would have been picking your brain on it.
Maybe that's something for
another day,
for another show.
Yeah, agree. And yeah, look, the other only call out is, so me and IconGraph have covered this. We talked about the proposal where you could claim the goodwill gesture, basically. And that is now live. It got voted yes, and you can actually click on this link here and connect your wallet, and you get either, if you were part of the liquidation event, just the extra that would have gone to the DAO emergency fund. You can claim a portion of that back. And two, even if you didn't get liquidated, if on the day you were, managing your rebalancing, as a lot of us were, you will get a small compensation. Like, now, don't expect that to be much, but there is something there, and they didn't have to. The team did it. It got voted yes. So just make sure you are going and checking it and claiming it, and you'll get SICX back. Any thoughts around that, Brian?
No, I think it's good that the team is willing to, put in the time to develop features that are voted yes, because with these DAO things, there's always the chance that, they'll vote, everyone will vote, and then it's up to the team to build it, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that they went through with it, put aside their personal opinions. I don't know what their opinion was, but it's great that they put aside and they just built what the community wanted to be built. So that's bullish to me. Shows that the team is in it. So yeah.
It's so funny, and again, I'll sidetrack. It's so funny you say that, because you just today tagged me in this post around Anchor, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it's so relevant, because in the background, before you tagged me, I've actually seen a few people in the Luna community post, and protocols actually saying we're going to vote no to this. And one of the comments was, it looks like even if it passes, the devs will probably not make the changes. And then it got into this big debate going, well, then what's the point of the token? What's the point of the protocol existing and staying decentralized? It's a very interesting point you raised.
That's the thing that, like, I think decentralization has many layers. And for me, until this DAO experiment, just trying to understand how DAOs can work, like, until that's more developed, I'm always leaning towards this the perspective that the parameters that DAO should be able to vote for should be able to be, just changed by the smart contracts. So an example would be, like the trading fee, or the threshold of the rebalancing peg or something, where you can vote for the number. It's yes or no. No one has to do work after. Like, I feel like that should be the focus, because then when you have these things where, you vote on a text, like a chunk of text, right, that developers are supposed to act upon after the vote, you don't really account for the priority of it. They can say, like, yeah, we'll work on this if we have time after we do all of these other things, and they can just keep extending that list. So it depends on how, like, the political perspective of the devs, which is an interesting constraint to work around as a DAO. So yeah, that's my perspective on that.
Yeah, no, it is. I guess I never really. I just, in my head originally, and I'm betting a lot of people like this. It's like, yep, okay, now it's a thing. We'll all vote, and whatever we vote on will get built next. But yeah, it's a fine line versus, what you said, adjusting these things versus the actual direction or what the protocol should be moving to or building out. Who would know better? Is it people who hold the token, or is it, the team that have created the vision of the protocol and had already envisioned, I guess, what the next steps are? Is it multi-collateral getting added, as the protocol evolves? So, it's an interesting. I never thought of it that way. Okay. Enough about balance. Let's talk about, after balance, always home. So one of the things I noticed, Brian, definitely from balance, they've been ramping up educational posts. And I've just noticed this got published moments ago. It's an educational post around OHM and one of its utilities, which happens to be, when you stake your OHM, you can then vote for various PREPs. And you are right, Brian, when you vote for the P-reps, the SICX that is on OHM, in the protocol, gets redirected and staked to the P-reps you nominate through that field. Now, anyone who's used this protocol will know what I'm talking about. And we do know like 1 ohm basically reallocates at the moment 1.4 ICX. So there's a value add where P-reps or even individuals can direct more votage.
Shh, don't tell people this.
Damn it, I know. More voltage. Wait, let me finish. To rhizome.
Right.
But yeah, so they've, this is probably one of the most overlooked features, I reckon, because automatically, if you look at it, P-reps alone should be jumping on this, let alone voters. So they've released a bit of an article on how different aspects work and the staking rewards and just breaking it down. Amongst other things, they teach you how to leverage your ICX, etc. So it's if you haven't already, take a look at it. I'll pause, Brian.
Well, the only complaint I have is you can only vote for the top 100, which if there's a team that's trying to bootstrap, they basically need $200,000 first to get to the top 100, and then they can be voted through OHM. So if OHM team is listening, I've heard it's a technical constraint, but the whole point of innovation is bypassing technical constraints, to achieve more. So if we're doing this in the name of decentralization, please open it up to all P-reps, or maybe give the OHM holders a way to select 100 teams that should be on the list. Because quite frankly, there's so many teams on the list who don't do anything anymore. So they shouldn't be on the list.
Yeah. Good point. I think while we're there, I wanted to. So that's why I made this call out. The OHM reallocates just the SICX on OHM. I have in the past said it's all of it. This was a terrible mistake on my part, which me and Brian got into a deep convo about, and then I actually went outside. Brian, sorry, I didn't trust you, man, because I'd been told something else previously, and so I'd been defending it, but I was led astray. The ICX you put on balance, that does not get reallocated via the OHM token in any way, shape, or form. So just in that right, I'd love to see balanced as well incorporate, because that was always a goal at the moment. It goes to the people who built balance, and that's great, but I'd love to see the same thing happening. I want balance to reallocate votes as well. That was one of the biggest value adds I remember in the white paper, etc. So hopefully once the migrations happen, we see that becoming a bit of a focus again as well. I'm sure you want to see that, Brian.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It would be great to be like, if it is limited to 100 teams, it would be great as another utility of both the OHM and the balance token to be able to vote on those lists for each platform.
Yeah. It did launch like that though, Brian. I recall though, what was happening randomly. I remember I had back then the transactions were like cents, not even cents, not even pennies, whatever you call it. But one day I remember I did a transaction. It charged me 0.3 of my ICX. I was like, what the? I sent it to Scott. And one of the things I identified, because having 100, it was throwing the ICX, the staked ICX across all 100, it was causing at times these abnormally large transaction fees.
Yeah.
Well, that's the explanation I got. Now I'm starting to question my understanding of things ever since this SICX fiasco I've done. Okay, so over to OHM. We've seen a bit of they put it up to what it should be called. Again, this is the boosted OHM. It's following the same thing as balanced, isn't it, Brian? Like basically they're copying the code and creating the same template for the OHM token.
Yeah, I think it's all based on Curve, which was the first protocol to kind of implement this kind of thing. So it's just, I think it's trying to reward the most loyal people in a fair way,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is good. You know, it's working for Curve. I certainly won't complain about it.
Yep.
And if you're not someone who wants to lock up uh, your tokens for a very long time, you know, it kind of makes sense that maybe you don't earn as much as someone who does, because there's like the risk factor there.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, look, looking forward to it. I think there's a few good things coming at the same time. So we've got this boosting model, which, long story short, is the more you lock up, the more you earn long term, the more long term you lock up, right?
Yeah.
Putting it quite simple. Then you got protocol owned liquidity. So, and you know what? In the balanced roadmap updates, you would have seen one of, if you read through it, you'll see that they're getting those contracts ready. That's to do with Karma Finance. So that adds another layer of getting. This sounds bad, but the more that gets locked up and the more that gets taken back by the protocol and put into the liquidity pools, then we will stop seeing this where if we get the sudden pump and then all of a sudden just stuff keeps going down. Because what are people doing? They are mining the token and then they're selling it to see their rewards, right? If something says 100%
Yep.
APR, well, you're only seeing it after you sell it into a stable coin, or if ICX is your way of measuring that you've made money. So these current changes will secure essentially liquidity and all the tokens getting locked up, and there we will be hopefully with no one to sell and this ginormous pool of liquidity. So even when people do sell, it barely impacts the price. The golden times ahead
Right.
of us. The dream, we say. But yeah, anything else, Brian, you wanted to add here?
No, we also have the DAO fund.
Mm-hmm.
So that was set up by the monks to grow Ohm, and Arosh and the people over there have been putting in a lot of work with the academy sessions and stuff. So yeah, DAO fund is set up.
Yeah. So shout out to Brian. Brian actually did a lot of work around the multi-sig stuff, getting it ready, because we suffered the same thing with the multi-sig. We have one design, but again, the migration. So Brian, kudos and thank you for that. Arush, like, guys, you cannot, the value he's adding to the ecosystem, I feel very underrated, not appreciated in my eyes. Like, he's not just doing stuff for the foundation's Discord, but in the monks, he really drives everything. He arranges all the meetings, he puts all the documents, everything together. It's not shortchanging your work, Brian. I just mean,
No.
he's really doing
Yeah,
stuff there.
yeah.
And to Brian's call out, like, those sessions, they literally plan them out and they see what people are giving feedback on or struggling with, and then they roll out these sessions in Monk's Academy. And I always go and check the videos and I barely see any views, and it pisses me off because, again, it's quality content. It's stuff people always keep saying, oh, we're not sure, but they're actually doing it. They're taking the time to address this. All we have to do is people have to go and watch the videos. So, but that's not what the Monks DAO is about. That was me going on a rant. The DAO is all about, well, we have money in the DAO fund. What if, let's actually use it? And that's where Arush has put a plan together, and we've got 3 months of funding, and we're going to run ads across Twitter that are being funded. We got they're designing some NFTs. They're also going to be purchasing some NFTs. They're going to be rewarding people in Discord. So if you aren't in the Discord, get in there. And they're not just handing out free money. They're going to reward people who take initiatives to do something, engage with the community, things like that. So really, get in there, ask questions. You want to even suggest some ideas. If you want to see the monks spending the money on something that you think will add immense value, and don't just go in there and say, oh, blow it on this influencer. Please, people, think about it. Think about
Yeah.
strategically. Influencers are not something that is I'll stop there. People it'll turn into a riot, but yeah.
Well, I think the thing to keep in mind with influencers is, like, long term, I don't think influence will be the driving factor for adoption. You know, it's going to be the education. So
Yeah.
maybe focus on funding educators instead of influencers. You know, there's some people who do both, so maybe those kinds of people are good, but yeah, something to keep in mind.
Yeah, agree. Okay, look, let's carry on from Ohm. But as you can see, the targets for March, and you just start to see migration, Python, Java, and more web content, etc. Okay, next up, what are we doing for time? Okay, just don't want to go over that hour. So, early referral event closure. Oh, I'm glad we put this in the news. In the background, I hadn't been following this piece. So, ICONFI, if you didn't know, kicked off 100,000 ICX event. Okay, and referral event. I didn't click on it. I didn't actually read up anything. All I saw was this event, and I thought, "Whoa, cool! We're spending money. Awesome." Um, didn't look at it again. I think in a day or two, I don't even know. Like it was literally no time. I all of a sudden saw this tweet. It's been closed, and I actually laughed. I was like, what? How?" And luckily, I went through this news article, and you can see that it was achieved in only 2 days. And the reason it closed was they designed to spend 60 ICX per referral. And in 2 days, they got 1,650 referrals. So I think this was a huge success. What are your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I remember seeing this and I was like, oh, I have some friends I want to tell about this. You know, just put some of their USDC on their, inflation in states now is like 7% or something. So I think the lowest tier you can get for USDC here is 7.5, and it goes up to 11. So I was like, maybe they should stick some of their money in there. And I guess I'm still going to tell them about it, but I did want that referral.
Of
But
course.
that's not happening now because so I think it's a testament to how fast ICONFI is growing. Yeah, it's great.
Yep. Cool. One of the things I always say, like with they become peer up and stuff, I think I would love to see, like, it's such a cool use case. Like if their node rewards, they could tie it into the app somehow as a boosted interest model, etc., where it's creating it makes those rates better and stand up above the competition, which is in turn luring users to ICONFI, which is in turn making users get that extra interest in ICX, more adoption. I don't know, just spitballing here, but I really hope to see cool ways of that happening.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Okay, next up, Wonderland. Wonderland. So we've been making a point, even sometimes if we don't know what's happening with Wonderland, because they're these. It's like Tamashi. Okay, if you aren't in the Discord or you stayed away for a couple of days, it's like, okay, so much has happened in a couple of days. I actually, in all honesty, I go up to Ben, I DM him and go, Ben, I need an update. What's been happening? I'm so lost. And he'll get me up to speed. I'll be like, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I also find it hard to keep track of all the stuff going on in the Discord.
Yeah. So, and I feel the same way about Wonderland. Like originally, when I went into Discord, when I missed out, I was like, oh, I got to get. And then it's so active and so much is happening that I just couldn't keep up. So even now, if I can't break it down, but there is an event happening, it's Shrooms. How can we not tell you if there's a shrooming event happening? And make sure you head over to the Discord to participate. I believe, thank you, Donnie. He gave me a quick write up about it. So it's a competition. There's going to be multiple teams. There are going to be clues given, and you basically there'll be teams, last team standing, and in the ending, the team will win the grand prize of a lot of shrooms. But all the participants will get some shrooms as well. So if you want some shrooms, and these are tokens, so nothing else, tokens. So definitely head on into the Discord and take part in the event. I actually finally today sent my address because I've won something from the last competition that I took part in, so I'm very excited about that. Anything here, Brian?
These kinds of things I always don't do, and then afterward I regret not doing it. So maybe this time I'll try to do it.
Do it. Yes, you don't want that regret. I totally get it. Okay, next up. Ooh, this was good. And a special place in our hearts. So if you didn't catch it already, a news dropped off GalleryDAO, a multi-chain NFT gallery. So, Brian, how would you describe this? What was your thoughts when you first saw this?
Well, Fez and I are actually involved in this, so we've been very excited about it for quite a while now, and I think it's a very interesting concept because it's taking the NFT marketplace and expanding it to more stakeholders. So, when you go to somewhere like Craft or OpenSea to do something, what you're doing is probably either buying or selling. I don't think a lot of people are going to these websites and browsing, just because it's not really set up as somewhere that you go to browse, right?
Yeah.
And that's certainly not to say that people aren't interested in browsing. If you think about the real world, there's auctions where people go to buy art. That's kind of a marketplace like Craft or OpenSea. And then there's also a lot of different places where you go to see art, right? So I think this kind of GalleryDAO place combines all of that. Not only can you go in and browse, but if you see something you like, you can also click on it, or however you interact with it, and it'll bring you to whatever marketplace this art is listed on, if it is listed somewhere. So to be able to do that is pretty interesting, and I look forward to seeing what happens. Do you want to give a quick overview of like how the tokenomics and rooms and stuff works?
Well, I won't go down tokenomics and rooms. I'll give quick context around. So, why is it a DAO? So, what's cool about this is this particular gallery. Think of it as a building that will exist in the same way in all the different metaverses. So, one of the first metaverses it'll launch in is Gangsterverse. So, imagine in Gangsterverse, there's a spot, a building you walk into. It's called the gallery, and when you walk into it, then you can just walk around looking at NFTs as exactly what Brian has said, displayed by different artists, people, etc. And the particular gallery, then, say in the future, it could launch in Decentraland, it could launch on this particular building on various chains and various metaverses. But when someone walks into it, they're walking into basically the same building, right? So I just love that, where it's kind of unifying everything. So it's a building. It reminds me of what is it? I get this. What's the Marvel movie, Doctor Strange? You know how his building it's located in different. Yeah. That's when I first heard the pitch. I was like, "Ooh, I love it just for this aspect." So there's that. Then there's the tokenomics part. The first and foremost that excites me is this is actually going to be a token sale. Okay, now it is a DAO, so there's a token associated to it. By you holding the token, you get a stake in the DAO. There's going to be revenue streams that come through from the gallery as you would in real life. If there's a gallery, the artists pay to host their artwork, etc. So we're going down very much a similar model there. There's a small gamification component to it. Overall, the tokenomics are designed to that you want to hold a token, basically. And we're going to release some articles. That's why I don't want to talk too much. And full disclosure, we are working on this project, so obviously we're going to be biased. But that's why I don't want to talk tokenomics. I think just overall, the concept is cool, right? And the biggest thing is, to what Brian said, you don't have to, with the gallery, you don't have to have a wallet. You don't have to be... show your allegiance to Icon or any blockchain for that matter. The way the gallery is being designed is you can log in and as an avatar, just start walking around. And as Brian then spoke, like you could see a collection, like you can see a Tamashii, walk into a Tamashii showroom. It has all the different collections, and you could then the avatar could click on something that will take you away and look at the actual collection and then show you a process of how you could acquire one if that's the artist's goal. So there's so many possibilities with it. We know NFTs are all the rage at the moment, and what a great way to enable an average user, and when I say average, just an average person, to be able to walk in without a wallet set up or anything, just go and browse some art and go from there. So that's fundamentally what it's about.
Yeah, and I think the other underestimated thing is I think it'll open up NFTs to more people because there's so many skeptical people now. And I think their skepticism is mostly a result of them not wanting to learn more about what the technology is. It's fun to jump on the bandwagon and just be like, "Oh, NFTs, LOL," it's a scam. But I think that with more platforms and stuff like this that are targeted towards those kinds of people, or it's not targeted to them, but it's more accessible to them.
Yeah.
I think it'll help the industry in general.
Yeah. And that's just it. And finally on this, what's really cool is, so there's a lot of teams that have come together to deliver this piece that have their own unique experience and skill set. So ICONFI, they're the team leading the charge and the dev and all those things around it. So we've got professional people working through who have actually delivered quality projects across the Icon ecosystem and other chains. So definitely not a new kid on the block kind of way, just more of a collaboration piece, bringing the best of community drivers, builders, and overall future thinkers in the space onto GalleryDAO. So excited. Stay tuned. The token sale, everyone's going to get a part of it, and that's the best part. The actual gallery token is only going to be sold initially as part of the token sale on Icon. So it gives all Iconists a chance to get into something that is going to be multi-chain. So we'll stop there, Brian. I know time. Just 2 more bits of news we need to run through.
Yep.
Okay, if you hadn't seen this already, 16-Bit Fight Club video drop. Just a quick shout out. A friend of mine has created this project. Full disclosure, he was on Crafters Corner teasing it and finally dropped it. And he happened to get pressured a little bit, Brian. I said it was my birthday yesterday, day before. And I said, yeah, this is what I want for my birthday. I want the video to drop. So it actually happened. But yeah, cool. If you haven't, I don't want to give too much away. I feel I know he spent a lot of time on the clip because he's very particular about every piece. So definitely, if you haven't watched it, give the video a watch. It's got a lot of homage to the console gaming era, Super Nintendo, and stuff like that.
The good old days.
The good old days, exactly. And he was a gamer till PlayStation 1. And then I continued gaming and he didn't. So he always reflects back on this timing. So he created this piece, this project, this NFT project revolving around that, which is quite cool to see.
Yeah.
I'll ask for your 2 cents. I know you watched the video, right, Brian? Right?
Yeah. I'm excited about this because it reminds me of my childhood.
Yes.
I grew up with Game Boy Advance, Nintendo 64. So when I saw the art and stuff from this, it made me think of those days and how it seemed like the world was simpler back then. I don't know if that was because I was a kid. I think about that often. Like when my parents, let's say like 20 years ago, like did they feel the same way that I feel now? Did they feel like the world was ending and and all of this other stuff? Maybe it's a bit of both. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I know your point. I think if I break that up into 2 categories in my brain, I've observed, say, my kids. You give them a game. If I give them Streets of Rage, they're all over it within seconds. Oh yeah, this button beats this button. This button does special move. Naturally, they keep using the special move, not realizing they're losing their health. But simple. But if I were to give them like the latest release of a PlayStation 5 game, could they pick it up as quick? No, not given time, yes, but that's where I reflect. The gaming era was a simpler time, but I don't think back then our parents weren't gamers. They were probably dealing with the same stuff we're dealing with now, but just at that
Right.
time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there we go. We got a bit deep, but coming back out to definitely 16-bit byte club.
16-bit byte club.
Oh God, he's gonna kill me. Cool. Look, the last piece, Project Nebula. This news just dropped yesterday. They've been constantly updating. One of the next pieces of update was star mapping. For context, it was basically, and this is really cool. If you're a new person right now wanting to jump into Project Nebula, two things: a ship. Now they're back down to reasonable prices, so you can grab one for $100. And then two, when you dive in, pretty much all the first sectors have all been explored, so you're not finding any planets or things like that. But what they've done now is created this system where it's called star mapping, where existing users who have been around playing the game from the start, they have the option to go and explore a map completely, create a map, and then sell it. So you as a new person can come and buy this map, and then you can explore the map much quicker. So say an entire sector may take you 15 days to explore. You could do it in a day thanks to having a map, and it reveals everything, and you use less fuel, and you can quickly scope up the map, find a new wormhole, and move along. So it definitely serves as, on both sides, experienced players are getting something from it, and new starters can actually get into the game much quicker and not waste any time. And it creates another market as well. So all of a sudden you have the ability to create an NFT, because the star maps, they become an NFT, and you sell it, and it trades players' hands. So as a new user, you buy it, you run through the map, and then you can sell it. That's the best part. So that's a very quick overview. So if you've been playing it or you haven't, now's probably the time to jump in, because you can quickly go and find maps to different sectors, buy it, and move through those and catch up to all the people who've been playing it. I must admit, I have slowed down a little bit, but I'm actually going to get back into it. I've just found a bit of a loophole. I've gotten stuck somewhere, and I haven't been concentrating on how to get out of the sector. But overall, though, I've been playing it since launch, so it's kept me entertained.
Yeah, I have a confession. I've never played this game before, and it's not because I don't like it. I think it's very admirable what they're doing, and all the effort that they're putting into it. But all this play to earn. I'm not a big gamer in general, because I used to game, but after having kids, whenever I play games, I just feel like, oh, should I actually be reading to my son or something right now? Like trying to teach him something.
You can put the controller in his hand. It's okay.
Well, I would love to play games with him when he's like 15 or 16. But now it's just like, I don't know. I'm never in the mood that I want to, hop into a game and just play it. So, there does seem to be a number of people playing this game. So I think this will be exciting for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think, look, Brian, that's it. That's the news for this week. There's been a ton of stuff we've gone through. Thank you, Brian, for taking the time and coming on to co-host with me. Otherwise, it would just be me reading a bunch of websites.
No worries. It was a good time.
Yeah, excellent. And everyone, as always, like, subscribe, share. If you didn't know, we have some great interviews lined up. I know there hasn't been that many interviews been dropping lately. However, soon going to talk to Dev, who's built the Binance Smart Chain Icon Bridge contract and is working on that integration going live at the end of March. We've got Paul from Bubble. What's it called again? Bubble. Blobble. He's coming on the show, recording the interview Tuesday as well. So I actually I gave this a once over initially. However, for the interview, obviously to ask some questions, I was reading through it. It's kind of really cool the way the tokenomics and stuff have been designed. So I'm keen to have him on the show and have him break down. Now, this I had said it was being built and deployed on Icon. It isn't. It's being built for Snow. So, but excited to have him on the show and talk through this project. But overall, so getting stuff lined up. Hopefully, we'll have Min on the show soon as well to talk all things Icon Bridge and BTP. So stay tuned, everyone. And as always, thanks for taking the time and listening. Take care.
Yeah, thanks everyone.